Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear friends. You are watching Study with Sheraz, and in today's lecture we are going to talk about the nuclear transmutation. Basically, as the word indicate, mutation. Mutation is basically, as we study in the biology, it's a change. So if we talk about the nuclear transmutation, so it's the conversion of one element into another element. So nuclear transmutation is the conversion or change of one element into another element. And you people know that the atomic number is the basic identity of the element. And so if an element is being converted into another element, so there must happen a change in the atomic number of the element or atomic number of the atom, and the atomic number is only affected by change in the proton number. So during the process of nuclear transmutation there must happen a change in the proton number or the atomic number of the atom. So next we are going to discuss how the conversion of one element into another element can be brought about. So there are two types of the nuclear transmutation. One is the natural or spontaneous transmutation, and the other is the artificial or the induced transmutation. So if we talk about the first type, the spontaneous disintegration of radioactive elements into another by the emission of alpha, beta or gamma radiations. So basically the isotopes are the elements that are having greater atomic number and atomic masses, just like that having atomic number greater than 82, are radioactive in nature, and we have discussed the radioactive isotopes extensively in the previous lectures. So radioactive isotopes are those that are having a tendency to emit radiations on their own or the spontaneously. So whenever a radioactive isotope or element is kept for a long period of time, there happens a spontaneous change in its nucleus by the emission of the alpha, beta and gamma radiations, and as a result of these emission of radiations, the nuclei of radioactive element is converted into that of the other, and a stable nucleus is formed as a result of the natural or spontaneous transmutation. It's called spontaneous because there is no external force that is bringing about these emission of radiations. Rather, the nuclei, when kept for a long time, release radiations on their own. One of the best example of the natural or spontaneous transmutation is the disintegration of the uranium isotopes. Basically, uranium is a heavy element as it's having the 92 atomic number and the atomic mass is 238. So it's having low binding energy. So in order to increase the binding energy and in order to get the stability, it undergoes spontaneous disintegration by the release of the alpha particles. We have a previous lecture in which we described and explained the concept of binding energy and mass defect, and if you have not watched that lecture, the link is provided in the description section. So you people must watch that lecture in order to get idea of why the radioactive nuclei have a tendency to be converted into the stable nuclei, or why they have the tendency to disintegrate spontaneously. So uranium undergoes spontaneous disintegration into the thorium 9234 with the emission of the alpha particles. So presence of a radioactive isotope or element is necessary for the process of the natural transmutation. The other type of the transmutation is the artificial or induced transmutation. It's the conversion of a stable or non-radioactive element into another by bombarding its nucleus with particles like alpha particles, protons or neutrons, and bombarded particles are known as the projectile. As it's written here, that induced or artificial transmutation is basically a process in which a stable nuclei is converted into another stable nuclei. So here an unstable nuclei was converted into the stable nuclei, and here a stable nuclei is being converted into another stable nuclei, and you people know that a stable nuclei, a stable element, never disintegrate on their own because they are already stable and they have no need to undergo disintegration or the radioactive emission. So first of all, the stable or non-radioactive nuclei are bombarded by some particles like the protons, neutrons or alpha particles, and bombarding of these particles make the nuclei unstable, and whenever they become unstable they become radioactive, and after being radioactive they start releasing some radiations or some particles, and again they are converted into the stable nuclei because everything needs stability in this universe, and the particles like protons and neutrons and alpha that are being bombarded on the stable nuclei are known as the projectile. So projectiles are the particles that are used to convert stable nuclei into the unstable nuclei. One of the classical examples is given here that a boron 510 nuclei is being bombarded by alpha particle, and after the bombardment it becomes unstable. You people know that boron is a highly stable element. It's having very small atomic number. It's a quite stable nuclei and it is having no tendency to be converted into another, but we make this stable nuclei unstable by bombarding it with the alpha particle, and after absorbing the alpha particle its nuclei becomes unstable, and in order to again become the stable it disintegrates with the emission of a proton, and carbon 613 nuclei is again formed, and this alpha particle or helium 24 would be known as the projectile. If we talk about the discovery of the artificial radioactivity or the artificial transmutation, it was first discovered by the Rutherford, and he was the person who bombarded the nitrogen 714 stable nuclei with the alpha particle, and after bombardment the nuclei of the nitrogen was transmutated into the oxygen nucleus with the emission of the alpha particles. So this was all about the nuclear transmutation. If you have any question related to this video, you can post your question in the comment section. We will meet in the next video. Up till then, Allah Hafiz.